Welcome to The Hypnotist, brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. This features powerful hypnosis, so do not listen while driving or operating machinery. This recording is not suitable for those with epilepsy or severe mental health issues.
And as you breathe in, just imagine you're breathing in a feeling of calm and relaxation. As you breathe out, just imagine that you're breathing out any tension, any stress. Breathing in that feeling of relaxation, taking you deeper and deeper relaxed. And as you breathe out, just going more and more calm, and allow your imagination to just do what your imagination does, and that is have fun. And I want you to imagine that you're not where you are right now. I want you to imagine that you're on a giant spaceship, and this giant spaceship is about to travel 4.4 light years away to a different part of the galaxy, very far away. But in order to get somewhere so far away, you have to go into cryosleep. The type of sleep where your brain just shuts down for a long period of time. And I want you to imagine that you're climbing into a pod, some kind of machine connected to the right kind of nutrients and breathing apparatus to enable you to just fall asleep completely for a long period of time, knowing that when you wake up, you will be in an entirely different part of the galaxy. But for now, just imagine what it would be like to just climb into that pod, get yourself comfortable, feel yourself breathing fresh, clean air full of oxygen, going deeper and deeper asleep. And as the pod closes, I want you to imagine that your body and your muscles relax completely. So completely that it's almost like your brain is shutting down. That you can experience the deepest sleep that you've ever experienced. You breathe effortlessly, your muscles relax. Given that you're going to be sleeping for nearly 6 years, there is no need for thoughts. In cryosleep, you don't need to think, to move, so you can be the deepest level of relaxed that you've ever been. And just allow every muscle in your body to relax completely now. You can breathe effortlessly, knowing that your body's getting all the nutrients, all the oxygen you will need. And imagine what it would be like to sleep so deeply that time just passes by like it doesn't exist. And I want you to imagine that you start to hear noises inside this large spaceship. I want you to imagine that you're hearing something over the microphone, letting you know that you've woken up after nearly 6 years of sleep. And it feels like no time has passed at all, because that's the point of cryosleep, to have no idea that you're even sleeping. You might feel tired, weak, but you notice that there wasn't a single dream in that nearly 6 years of sleep. Because in cryo, you don't dream at all. I want you to imagine that in this place, as you climb out of the pod, it's different than how you entered, because there is no gravity. You're able to just float. And I want you to imagine what it feels like to have that feeling of weightlessness. Just gliding through the air. I want you to imagine that you're gliding up towards your locker, taking whatever you need, ready to embark to a different place. And I want you to go to a window of this giant spaceship where you can see a huge planet. A planet so large. But orbiting that planet is a moon. And you know this moon. You've heard stories of this moon. This moon is called Pandora. And right now it looks quite small. But now you find yourself on a shuttle, getting closer to the moon of Pandora that orbits this huge gas giant planet. And as you look through the window of the space shuttle, getting closer and closer to Pandora, you see the huge forests, the clouds, the giant blue seas. It reminds you of Earth, but Earth from a very long time ago, before cities, before civilizations. There is a sense of excitement, anticipation, as you travel closer and closer to this moon called Pandora. I want you to imagine that you've arrived now on this moon. You have already been told that the gravity is very similar to Earth, but the air is very different. That it's not possible to breathe outside in this planet, not without some kind of mask, giving you enough oxygen for your human body. I want you to imagine that you're now walking into a scientific laboratory where the scientists explain that they've been creating technology that enables you to inhabit the body of one of the native creatures of Pandora. They explain that these creatures have the ability to communicate. They have cultures, that they are much bigger than humans, about 9 to 10 feet tall, that they're much stronger than humans, and that the way that you would access one of these creatures is that they've created an avatar, a representation of what you would look like as one of the Na'vi creatures. They show you a picture of it. And I want you to imagine right now that you can see an image of you as a 9-foot blue creature. You can see that you have large ears, long arms and long legs. You can see that there is almost like a ponytail going down from the back of your head, except it's not hair. The scientist explains that this is a neural link, something that enables you to connect to other creatures that exist on Pandora. And the scientists explain that the way in which you will access your avatar is through a particular machine. And while this machine may look like almost like a sunbed, the technology in the machine enables you to inhabit the body of someone entirely different to your own Na'vi avatar. I want you to imagine that you're climbing into this machine, feeling completely relaxed, feeling excited as to what it would be like to inhabit an entirely different creature. And it's time to do that now. Climb into that machine, and you can see that they're connecting you connecting you to whatever you need to breathe well, linking certain cables and wires to you. And as the machine closes on you, almost in a second, you can imagine what it would be like to open your eyes, except they're not your eyes anymore. Imagine what it would feel like to be in a completely different body. You're breathing the Pandora air, but to you now it feels fresh, not poisonous. You can feel the strength in your muscles. You can feel your body being taller, knowing that you have so much strength in those arms and legs that you can leap and climb. And I want you to imagine that as you open your eyes, you're in a forest. And I want you to explore that forest. Because this rainforest feels different. You're seeing creatures that you've never seen before. As you explore, notice that many of the animals that you see have 6 legs rather than 4 legs. I want you to get a sense that you're observing their movements, the brightness of their colors. You're seeing strange flowers and plants that you've just never experienced before. The smells of this rainforest feels natural. Notice that even the plants seem to have a mind of their own, able to respond to movement. The presence of your physical body around these plants almost adapts and changes to you. I want you to see a creature that almost looks like a little monkey, except it's brightly colored, swinging from branch to branch. I want you to see that there are other creatures. Notice how protective they are, perhaps of their young. And even though perhaps they may be dangerous, you feel safe here. As you look around and explore this incredible rainforest, I want you to notice that there are magnificent lakes, blue skies, and even in the sky you can see that giant planet that Pandora orbits. There are waterfalls, so many waterfalls. And as you just explore this forest, I want you to feel an increasing connection with the nature that surrounds you. Feeling more and more connected with nature, with each tree that you climb, and with each new animal that you see. Feel a growing appreciation for the nature that surrounds you. That's right. And then suddenly, I want you to see someone that looks like you. Someone that looks like you, but of the opposite gender. Another Na'vi. They are cautious, perhaps even suspicious at first. But I want you to feel instantly that there is a connection between you and them. At first, they're not sure what to make of this strange being. They know, although you look like them, that you're not really them. They know that you're a human inhabiting this body, which is why initially they are distrustful, cautious. But I want you to imagine that they agree to be a teacher, a guide to this magnificent moon. I want you to imagine that they show you things on this moon that are incredible. New animals that you haven't seen before, new plants. And they keep on talking about the connection between one plant or one animal and another. That somehow all of it is connected. To begin with, they consider you clumsy, someone that doesn't really understand. I want you to feel that you almost have the same feelings you had when you were perhaps a very small baby just learning to walk, that you knew what you wanted to do, but you would just fall and I want you to get this feeling of being clumsy and still having this idea that you want to learn, that you're eager to understand. Although you might feel like a moron in some ways, you've got this desire, this eagerness to learn how to do things. This Na'vi explains the symbiotic relationship between all things. And I want you to imagine that it's no longer daytime but nighttime. And as beautiful as Pandora was in the daytime, it becomes even more beautiful at night. I want you to notice that many of the plants and animals have this bioluminescence, a glowing sensation. Sometimes when you just brush past a plant, it glows a bright red or blue. As you look into the lakes, you can see the movement of fish suddenly make the water glow. You can see that there are strange creatures that just glide and move through the air and seem to be glowing white. That's right. And when you get a feeling that this energy exists in all things, including yourself, and I want you to imagine it's the following day, and that part of the key lesson that you need to learn today is how to ride an animal that you've never seen before. And you're told that this animal is a dire horse. And while it looks kind of similar to the horse that you would see on planet Earth, this has 6 legs, and it seems to be breathing, not from its mouth, but from its neck. Instead of 2 eyes, it has 4 eyes. And you are told that in order to ride the dire horse, you need to create a connection. I want you to imagine that you're climbing on top of this dire horse. The dire horse is slightly restless. And I want you to notice that in the same way that you have this thing that goes down the back of your head, down your neck, down your spine, so too does the dire horse. And I want you to imagine that you're holding this neural link from the dire horse, and as you reach to connect to yours, you can see glowing, almost tentacles seek to meet. And as you feel yours connect with the horses, I want you to get a feeling that as the horse breathes, you can feel it breathe. You can feel the strength in the horse's 6 legs as if it's your own legs. That as the horse's heart beats, you can feel your heartbeat. And this Na'vi explains that when you're linked together, you are as one. And that where you want to go, the dire horse will take you. And I want you to imagine what it would feel like to be galloping through nature, across the plains, within the trees of the forests. That it feels like it's not you riding this dire horse, but that both of you are riding together. You can feel that wind hit your face. Feel the energy, the movement as you explore this incredible moon. As the dire horse gets more energetic and gallops faster, you can feel that the heart beating feels like your heart is beating faster. And that when the dire horse goes to drink, it quenches your thirst also. I want you to disconnect this link between you and the dire horse, knowing that that link can be created at any point in time. It's now time for you to return back to the laboratory. You say goodbye to that Na'vi companion that you've met, and say goodbye to that horse that you've connected with. And then suddenly you find yourself back in that science laboratory where the pod is opening up. And while you were there in Pandora, in nature, it felt real. And it only now feels like a dream because you're back in the laboratory. But at some level, what if everything is backwards? What if out there is the true world, and there in the laboratory is the dream? The lead scientist explains that they're going to leave this complex and go to a different place. And I want you to imagine that you're flying out to a different laboratory located on floating mountains. Imagine that you're in a shuttle flying out to these floating mountains, where the scientist explains that the different magnetic field within Pandora enables these islands to just float in space. Sometimes they're connected with different vines and plants, but they just constantly move in the atmosphere of Pandora. As you land on one of these floating islands, you can see the most incredible views, where clouds brush past islands filled with trees and even waterfalls, way above the rainforest below. As you enter the science laboratory as a human, there is yet another one of these pods. And the lead scientist explains that you're going to go back into your avatar, re-experience what it's like to be a Na'vi creature. And allow that to happen now. Climb into that pod. As you feel it closing over your head, within a second you're back in the body of your Na'vi avatar, immediately feeling taller, feeling stronger. But now you feel that you've got more understanding of Pandora, nature, the connection between you, the plants and the animals. I want you to imagine meeting again that Na'vi companion. And although you're there down in the rainforests, your human body might be in those floating islands. But your Na'vi body is down there in the rainforest. But your Na'vi companion explains that one of the rites of passage to be a true Na'vi is to ride a flying banshee. I want you to imagine that you, alongside a few of these Na'vi creatures, are hiking through nature, climbing vines and ropes, up into very similar but not the same floating islands that the laboratory is based in. And I want you to imagine that you go really high. As you get higher up into these floating islands, the air gets thinner, but you can breathe it anyway. You still feel strong. You've learned to trust your body and what your body can enable you to do. This Na'vi body feels like it's your body in the same way that the dire horse felt like it was connected to you. As you climb higher and higher up into these floating islands, suddenly the terrain changes and there are cliffs. And suddenly you see other Na'vi creatures riding on the back of what look like dragons, these flying banshee, large winged creatures, almost a cross between a dragon and a pterodactyl. It's been communicated to you that in the same way that you were able to connect with the dire horse, you will also be able to connect with these flying banshee. The only difference is that if you fall off a horse, it's just a few feet down. Whereas if you fall off the flying banshee, it would be your immediate death. But somehow, this risk doesn't faze you. You have a feeling of anticipation and excitement as you look out on these magnificent views of this incredible terrain, high up, connecting with nature, the fresh air, the clouds. And then I want you to imagine that you're there on the cliffs, and it occurs to you that you don't choose the flying banshee, it's the flying banshee that chooses you. These terrifying creatures get closer. And then, suddenly, as you make eye contact with one of these beasts, suddenly you climb on the back, connecting your link with their link. And suddenly it swoops down from these floating islands. And again, you can feel that intense feeling of falling only to then rise back up. And I want you to imagine what it would be like to be flying on the back of this flying banshee, weaving in and out of these floating islands, high above these incredible rainforests and lakes, seeing other flying banshees around and almost flying in unison, and noticing that the connection you felt between you and the dire horse feels similar between you and this creature that flies. Because you're connected, it almost feels like you have wings, that you're able to see what this creature sees. You imagine what it would be like to swoop down, because not just because you're riding this creature, but you and the creature are almost like one, weaving in and out of these islands. And I want you to fly to wherever your imagination wants to take you. Imagine that the whole of Pandora is a playground in which you can play. Wherever you want to go, that's exactly where the flying banshee will take you. I want you to connect with this feeling of freedom, that the whole planet is your playground, and that you are able to go wherever you want to go. feeling this incredible connection between you and another. Enjoy this feeling. And then next to you, you can see your Na'vi friend is also flying on a banshee right next to you. And you can tell from the movement they are making that they want to take you somewhere unique, somewhere special. And I want you to allow yourself to follow your Na'vi friend. And as you get closer, you can see a ginormous tree. And this tree is unlike any other tree that you've seen on Earth. A huge tree. And whereas it was daytime at the beginning of flying around, now it's getting towards sunset. And I want these flying banshee to just rest next to this ginormous tree. And as the sun goes down, you notice that this tree is glowing. That rather than leaves, it almost has very similar color and texture and shape to the very same tentacles that connected you with either the dire horse or the flying banshee. It almost seems that the leaves of the tree are those same neural links that enabled you to connect with other creatures on Pandora. Except this is an entire tree made of these connections. As you look up and just see bright white glowing branches of this tree, I want you to feel like this tree is connected to everything on the entire planet. That in the same way that a human body can't live without a heart or a brain, that in some way this tree is connected to everything on this planet. I want you to imagine what it would be like to take that neural link connected to the back of your head, turn it around, and notice in the same way that the flying banshee and the dire horse, those links wanted to connect, so too does this tree. And I want you to see that your Na'vi companion has already connected their link with the tree. Their eyes are closed, and you now do the same thing. You connect your link to the tree. And it almost means that you can feel what your companion is feeling, but also you can feel and are connected to everything on Pandora. Every animal, every plant, every living thing on the entire moon. Feel that infinite connection. And with that connection, feel a glowing level of empathy and also appreciation. That the glowing of the tree almost makes you glow inside, filled with gratitude. That your life only exists because of the infinite number of other living things that also exist. As you connect into that feeling of connection, that feeling of gratitude, the feeling of significance that every living thing has a role to play, I want you to feel like your heart is glowing, knowing that possibilities are also infinite for you. Allow this connection to take place for however long it needs to, because this tree of souls is connected to all experiences. I want you to feel that wisdom, knowledge, insight, is filling your brain. Whatever you need to know or learn or realize is simply happening right now. And at the point where you've learned and experienced or connected to anything that you need to right now, then it's time to leave. And you can just feel that connection between you and the tree is unconsciously disconnecting. You can imagine opening your eyes and seeing this glowing tree, knowing that you can connect to this glowing tree whenever you need to in the future. And I also want you to connect with a different idea, and the idea of what this creature could mean to you in your life. Perhaps it's empathy, connection, a link to nature, a spirit of adventure, or an ability to learn. But just realize that you have the ability to take all of these insights, experiences, and ways of thinking and take them wherever you need to go. I want you to imagine that you're saying goodbye to your Na'vi companion, and that you are now waking up in that pod on one of those floating islands in the sky. And again, it feels like everything is backwards. That Pandora is the true world where everything is connected. Everything operates from empathy and respect. And what if being here in this science lab, top of a floating island, what if that's the dream? And what if this is all just a dream within a dream within a dream? And I want you to imagine that you're now back in your own physical body, you as a human right there, in your place. In a few moments' time, I'm going to count from 1 to 10 to awaken you, but you will awaken with these feelings of connection, gratitude, wisdom, and empathy. Knowing that in the same way that on Pandora everything is connected, that is also true on Earth in your real life. You will awaken full of optimism, gratitude, with a sense that you've had the most magnificent holiday, and that the rest of your day and week will be magnificent. Starting to count to awaken you. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.